If you're thinking of grading with Beckett, here's some things you need to know. Beckett's most affordable level of grading is $15, and there is no declared value cap. This does not include subgrades. However, if your card grade's a 10 and it does include subgrades, there's a $3 upcharge. Alternately, you can pay $3 more to get the subgrade, irregardless of what grade you get. The turnaround time for this tier is 45 plus business days, which is at least 9 weeks, so you're looking at 2 to 3 months of waiting. The next tier, which is standard, clocks in at $35 and includes a turnaround time of 20 to 25 business days. The express tier, which is 7 to 10 business days, is $80. The priority tier clocks in at $125, and that's a turnaround time of 2 to 3 business days. One of the biggest differences in pricing between PSA and Beckett is that PSA does have declared value caps, so their cost changes based on how much the card will be worth once it's graded. Beckett does not have this distinction. This means that if you turn in a card that would be worth $10,000 or $2 graded, you pay the same amount for the grade, depending on how fast you want the card to come back. Beckett also offers extra grading services, such as verifying an autographed card, relabeling a card. They grade oversized cards for an extra $8. If they're doing a raw card review, they will do that as long as you turn in a card to grade, so that's not extra. The most notable service that they offer is that if something happens to your card, they will recase it for $10 extra. As far as submission goes, Beckett's submission process is fairly straightforward. You simply download a form and turn in your cards. On the other hand, PSA requires you to do a lot of steps, and while they are very detailed in their process, if you do it out of order, they charge an extra service fee. Beckett does not do this. Just as with PSA submissions, you would want to put your cards in a sleeve and then a semi-rigid card holder, such as a card saver, instead of a top loader, so that the cards don't get damaged when they do go to grade them. And then take appropriate precautions when shipping your cards. Place cardboard between the cards and around them. Some of the pros and cons of grading with Beckett are as follows. One of the pros of Beckett is that they offer subgrades, which is basically just the little pieces of your grading that adds up to your final grade. They look at centering, they look at the corners, they look at the edges, and they do look at the surface of the card for any blemishes or damage. These subgrades will range from 1 to 10, and the average of these subgrades will produce your final result. There are half grades as well, up to a 10, so you could absolutely get a 9.5. Beckett does have different levels of a Gem Mint 10. A gold label would be a regular Gem Mint 10, whereas a black label would be a perfect pristine 10. From what I've seen, the black labels go for a lot more than the gold labels, which in turn also go for more than a regular PSA 10. PSA 10s range from not so great to perfect, and they all track in the same population, whereas Beckett gold labels and black labels are tracked separately. So you can see what the population is on a black label 10 Charizard versus a gold label 10 Charizard, and that will also dictate the value and let you know if you're getting a fair price on something you're trying to buy. Tracking refers to the population of cards for each grade. So you can look online and see how many cards have actually achieved the pristine 10 versus how many cards have been graded at a gold label 10. The reason why tracking is important is because let's say there's 1,000 PSA 10s of one card and 1,000 Beckett 10s of the same card. You're not gonna know how many of those 10s were graded really good or really bad for the PSA, but with Beckett, you can see how many were a pristine 10 and how many were a regular 10. The cons of grading with Beckett are that sometimes, at the lower grades especially, the cards will be less valuable than their PSA counterparts. This is because Beckett is extremely strict with their grading standards. Sometimes you'll grade a PSA 10, but if you take the same exact card to Beckett, it'll probably grade like an 8.5 or a 9. In addition, at the lower tiers, the turnaround time is a little longer than other grading services, and it can be extremely long, especially if you're submitting during peak periods. Another con is that Beckett doesn't offer bulk pricing. So if you're trying to grade a bunch of cards, like more than 20 at the same turnaround time, the total cost is gonna add up because there's more cards at the same price point. What else do you wanna know about Beckett? Let me know in the comments.